You're the man, you're the man, you're the man, you're the man, you're the man.
The Biden White House is so worried that rising energy prices could choke off the global economic recovery that it is urging OPEC and its allies to open the spigot so prices can fall.
What we're raising here is we've raised in the past production, and then the need to increase production, as you've said, to make sure we have that available to help address the price of gas.
And you look at me, you call me master. You want that pronoun to be in your mouth when you look at me?
Thank you, Jennifer, for what you've done.
You're welcome, Mr. President, except that's Gretchen, but that doesn't matter. Everybody makes mistakes. That is fine.
Some of us more than others.
Exactly. Some of us more than others. No doubt about it. So let me tell you what sucks about being a cop, Alice. You know I'm a member of law enforcement, right?
Are you?
Dateline Boston. 3 Boston police officers injured during an arrest at the public library after a call about a man masturbating. Library staff, this has got to be the BPL, I assume, the Boston Public Library. Library staff told police the adult man was masturbating in front of the historic building. Wow, times have changed. Used to be classy a few years back. They would at least do it inside the bathroom of the library. 3 Boston police officers sustained non-life-threatening injuries Tuesday while responding to a radio call at the Boston Public Library where a man had reportedly been masturbating, punched and bit the officers, according to authorities. That's all you need. You got to deal with this already, and then the guy punches and bites you.
Yeah.
The fact that none of these officers at any time decided to shoot him it means they should all get medals.
Yeah, they have more patience than I would have, I think.
I mean, just upon arrival. Police responded to reports from the library staff around 8:30, and I don't want to say this term anymore, 8:30 a.m., saying an adult male identified as Cornelio Conley was pleasuring himself in front of the historic building. The investigation of the incident is ongoing. Conley resisted officers' attempts to take him into custody and threw a tarp at one of the officers. He also punched and bit officers, according to the news release. An officer used pepper spray to attack Conley and took him into custody without further incident. Additional responding units transported the officers to a nearby hospital to address their injuries. Conley faces...
Where were the social workers?
That's a great point.
Who sent the police? This poor, innocent gentleman could have been shot at any time. Next time, I hope they send the social workers.
I'm absolutely fine with that. All right. Dateline. I don't know where this is. This OnlyFans model says naked strip videos are what God wants her to do. The model is redefining what it means to be holy. What? Jeez, I didn't see that coming. I haven't read this before, so this is why. Nita Marie, a self-proclaimed Christian OnlyFans model, asserts that stripping for strangers online is what God wants me to do. I asked God, yada, 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 yada. So here's my feeling. Now, rapper Bad Baby, have you heard of Bad Baby?
Isn't that the girl, the Cash Me Outside girl?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Rapper Bad Baby rakes in $1 million in OnlyFans debut in under 6 hours.
Yeah, that's the...
It is really?
Yeah, that's the Cash Me Outside
I like
girl.
her.
She got sent to Dr. Fell's, sketchy, abuse-riddled camp to improve troubled children, and then she came out, turned 18, and made an OnlyFans, and got tons of money on it.
A California mom says she's bullied by fellow parents for selling sexy snaps on OnlyFans. So other parents have a problem with her for selling.
Yeah, and I bet her kid gets bullied too.
Right.
Because all his little friends have seen his mom naked.
Right.
Which is a little uncomfortable for him at school, I would imagine. But mom cares more about, being naked online than about her child's mental health. So.
And you've heard of Bella Thorne?
Yes.
Okay.
That was a big scandal in the OnlyFans world.
She apologized after being blamed for OnlyFans payment limits. And
yeah, because she made an OnlyFans, but then she wasn't naked on it, and then they had to process a bunch of returns because.
But she wasn't naked on it?
No.
Oh, I see. Okay, so this is Bella Thorne.
So she's really famous. She's like a She was a Disney actress, and she was like, "Oh, I'm making an OnlyFans," and all these people signed up, but then she like wasn't going to be naked on it. So then they like had all these cancellations and requests for refunds. So then they tightened up their payment policies to the detriment of smaller nude art creators.
So, and there's another one who used to work at Disney as Aladdin, and she's now making a whole bleep load of money off of OnlyFans. She's in her 20s something. And she's doing it, making lots of money off OnlyFans and Instagram now, where she does like lingerie and this is probably how the racket works: lingerie and bikini stuff on Instagram, and then drives people over to OnlyFans from there.
Yeah. So the thing is, a lot of these young women who were already famous, you'll notice all these people that you're listing here, with the exception of the Christian one who has another gimmick to get herself in the newspapers, which is saying that God wants her to. They all already were famous and had been on TV before they did this. And I think that it's one of those things where that helps a lot, and that, you know, this gets kind of propped up as like, look how much money these girls made on OnlyFans. But then like and I've seen graphs of like the distribution of what people make on it. And there's like a huge long tail of the other 99% of people, which are making next to nothing doing it and are just selling their nudes for like $30 a month, you know? And I think that a lot of young women get like drawn in by the stories of these people making millions, but it's not going to happen for them because they're, you know, not already famous before they do it.
So do all these celebs who are on there get naked for people?
Well, these ones that you listed, like the Cash Me Outside girl does and stuff. Bella Thorne didn't, but that was like a scandal because of it.
Okay, but the expectation is you go there to get either naked.
Yeah, not everybody goes entirely naked, but the pressure's there to do it, and that's like kind of what the platform's known for at this point.
And is it sex too, like pornography, or just naked?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
Okay, so
you can sell whatever you want on there. You can sell videos of.
And how does it stay? How do you keep somebody from disseminating what you've done?
I think that's on the OnlyFans and like their technology aspect of the platform that they, you know, lock it the same way like Substack does. It's like Substack, but it's primarily used for porn. Which OnlyFans is trying to get away from their reputation of being that. They want it to be for more stuff than that, but that's like what it's for now, basically.
Right. So if you think about like what this is doing, like business wise, you would think that this would put exotic dance clubs out of business. Although, I guess not really, because once again, the market's too flooded.
Well, right. It's very difficult. That exotic dancer can make real money showing up in a real strip club in front of real people right now because it's there. Whereas, you know, if she just puts it up online and there's a million other accounts that are doing it, like, what are the chances? How long does it take to build an audience, and how much kind of entrepreneurial spirit does she have to have, and social media presence and all this stuff? Like, it's very difficult to build that organically. People show up at the strip club because they know what's there and they're already looking for it, you know, and it's a central hub. But there's no guarantees that if a person who isn't already well known goes up on there, like, how many people are going to sign up for it? Like, you have a Substack, right? And you already had like somewhat name recognition, like you've been published in papers, people know what your writing is, and it's still like it's a slow, hard work type of process to build that kind of fan base, that kind of subscription based model. Now imagine you're a 20-year-old girl and how much work that's going to be to build that kind of subscription based model when literally there's another 1,000,000 20-year-old girls also doing it at the same time as you.
True, but I mean, you could, if you were diligent, if you're a 20-year-old girl and you're the kind of girl who is going to go to, you're gonna go to Mardi Gras anyway and flash on the balcony if they still do that, for beads, whatever, and you could do it instead in this way and make, I don't know, $50, $100, whatever it is, beer money. I don't know. What's the difference? Other than just purely other than instead of beads, you're now. I guess there isn't a difference, and that's why young people now do it. And when I was a kid, girls my age would go to Mardi Gras to do this. Is there a part in young women who want to be exhibitionists naturally? Is there a little part?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I don't know, because I'm thinking that if in Mardi Gras they were wanting to, they were flashing in Mardi Gras, right? Which I've never been to, but so obviously this was just below the surface. These young ladies wanted to. Is that a thing?
I think. I mean, I can't. That's not my particular brand of thing that I go out and do, so it's hard for me to speak to it, but I suspect there are some self-esteem issues at play, and that the idea of people liking you enough to pay you money to see you naked is probably kind of appealing if you don't have great self-esteem. Right.
It would be a way to be validated, which is like what I see a lot of times when I think women, a lot of celebrities as well, post pictures of themselves without makeup. And I think that they're really saying...
Without makeup.
Well, right. But I think what they're really doing is they're really saying, please find my actual person attractive, because I know I'm not the person who gets all dolled up and whatever. It's just a validation, which is an unfair thing for women, because guys are allowed to just be ugly. Although, actually, guys get plastic surgery all the time, etc.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that it's a validation thing, and... I mean, obviously, in the case of some of these people, they're clearly very troubled, like the Cash Me Outside girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so what's driving her to put herself on OnlyFans?
Ugh.
You want a toy?
You want to eat
corn? There is corn in the fridge. We got some corn at the
Sally
grocery
will help
store
you
today.
This is important non-rated G conversation we're having right now.
You probably can't open it with a knife right now. What about some cereal?
All right, I'm going to let you talk over there to him, and I'm going to take this offline. So I feel like there is a silver lining to this. And can you help him get corn, please? And I'm about to bring it up right now. All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right, so how about this? Well, first of all, I assume you think the whole thing's unhealthy, from the user. Okay. How about this?
I think it's put it this way. I'm not looking to throw people in jail for doing it. However, I think that, like, say, professional football, just getting hit in the head like that all the time comes with inherent damage to you as a person, right? And I think that getting naked for money all the time also, while it may be your least bad option that you have on the table at a given point in your life, also is inherently damaging to your personhood. That's what I believe.
Okay, I think I found a defense for it. If you have normal, everyday women and guys, but mostly women is what we're talking about here. They're the desired sex, gender, whatever they are.
And they, them.
Naked or somewhat naked, whatever. Isn't it better that young men, over 18 obviously, young men see actual female forms rather than what they'd see in, obviously in, established pornography places where the women are artificial, just physically artificial, have implants, this, that, and et cetera, and are all perfect 10s and all. It's all, like all these unrealistic scenarios, whatever. Isn't it good for men to see actual?
Yes, although I would argue that while I think that, the one-off creator who's forming a personal relationship with their clients and doing it is making the money herself and has control over how she portrays herself and is a real woman, that's obviously, I think, the most ethical kind of pornography that can exist. But Well, first of all, I still think it's, not really ultimately healthy. And second of all, I think that is in the end going to be crowded out of that marketplace too, because as we've talked about, this is an incredibly competitive marketplace. And, we know someone who's a friend of a friend that, moved to LA and is now like running a house of women and managing their OnlyFans accounts and pressuring them to do more stuff and doing the chats for them with the guys that think they're paying to talk to these hot women but are just actually talking to this dude that we've met, and all these other things where
Have I
it's
met
like,
this dude?
Yeah,
Oh.
This is my sister's friend.
No, I know him.
You do.
Yeah,
You
but
have
although I
him.
think that whole thing is just because he loves your sister and he's trying to say...
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that, I mean, when the opportunity exists, yes, there are going to be small creators, but there are also going to be people that come in and professionalize it and put serious professional pornographers to work doing this stuff, and it's going to crowd out the people who are just, there'll still be a market for that, I assume, but the nature of pornography, and this, and this has been shown in studies, is that people routinely need to seek out more extreme content over time in order to scratch the same itch. Because we've talked about this. This is, people, it's with imagery like that, there's a feedback loop that goes on in your mind where in order to, shock your sensibilities into feeling something, you need to go for more extreme stuff. It's like,
I don't know that that's true.
It's true, and it's been shown, and that's why the porn industry now caters to so much more extreme stuff than existed.
Yeah,
in the 80s, kids were like finding a magazine that showed someone's boobs, and it was like, oh wow, and that was like very exciting and impressive to young men at that time. Like,
I have it on good faith.
You saw more than boobs.
There were VCR tapes in the 80s, and there were theaters in the 70s, and then the late 60s.
Yeah, but any kid my age that had a computer has seen all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
That's, way more extreme than that. And that's like...
I don't necessarily think that the person who's consuming porn is necessarily needs a bigger fix every time. He might just like the realtor gets... goes above and beyond category and sticks to that. There might be his, as you would say, kink.
Mm-hmm. But that's not what studies have shown. The studies have shown that people do.
Remember, you used to say studies show.
Studies show
it's true.
That people do over time seek out more extreme content. More like non-consensual content, racialized content.
What's all the races?
I would said racialized.
What does that mean?
So they're making race like an issue of the pornography, whether that's like, whether it's, how to put this, sexualizing black men for their physical characteristics, or whether it's pornography that's like, master slave themed or whatever it is.
Got an incredible data bank of
what they found is that porn has grown more extreme over time, and more people are seeking out more extreme content over time. So that's just like how it is, because that's how our brains work, is that it's an addictive thing to be consuming all the time, and you want more of it and stronger versions of it in order to do it better. The same like drugs. Sure, there are people that are able to like do cocaine every once in a while, but for every one of them, there's 10 Hunter Bidens, So it's like, yeah, sure, there are people that like are happy to, watch a normal looking woman in a schoolgirl outfit strip and are fine with that and just stick to that. But, there are a lot of people that like want more, need more, and like take it to more extreme levels. That's just the reality of it. And there are going to be people that take advantage of those gaps in the market. It's not just going to be like teenagers selling some nude pics to get through college forever. It's only like that because it was kind of untapped. But once the professionals tap the market, it's going to be taken over.
All right, moving on now, Alice. I think
Thank you.
What do you mean? I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting, and to see what I definitely think the psychological effects on. I definitely see now how you make incels and screwed up men who at a young age have just access to stuff that naturally you would never see. That naturally you have to learn how to be a human being and have to learn to have a personality. And have to learn to have charisma, and have to learn chivalry, and have to learn all this other stuff, and then have to wait years and years and years, and all this. It really it socializes you. The learning to the dating process altogether. It's socialized. Just the biology for men, especially since the women are gonna fob off most of the guys because women want to be discerning. Just biologically, they're meant to be discerning.
But I do think it's interesting because I think that, I think that it's an important conversation to be having in terms of how it does affect young people and how they see the opposite sex in their real life interactions. Because you look at a country like Japan, which has obviously been on the cutting edge of unique and creative pornography for a long time and was way ahead of the curve on incels. It's something like, it's like 30% of Japanese 30-year-olds have never had sex. It's crazy.
Well,
it's
or with a person anyway.
Yeah, with a human person.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they've got some AI going
well,
there.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying, and I think that that it's interesting that there are generations of people that are now living more and more of their lives only through the digital world, whether that's through OnlyFans or Twitter or whatever it is. They're living more of their lives online and consider that a real part of their lives, which I think is a really defective way to go through life, personally. And that it's ultimately not satisfying. And so it's interesting. Another news story that I kind of flagged that I was reading today was about NFTs. Are you aware of NFTs?
Yeah, those are the little trinkets you can sell that there's just one of that you own, right?
Well,
like my retainer.
A trinket, but an online trinket.
Oh, NFTs are just online?
Yeah. So it's like a JPEG, but only you own the JPEG.
But you can copy JPEGs.
No, because with the blockchain, you have a way to know if it's a copy or if it's the original. So you own the original JPEG.
Oh, I see.
So now you own this JPEG or this whatever digital thing.
That's insane, though. You can have an exact carbon copy of the same one. But
it's not the original.
What?
So, people buy, gifts.
Who's adding value to that market? That's crazy.
It's crazy. And they go for crazy prices. Crazy prices. And there's, online digital role-playing games. So when I was a young person, I played a game called Neopets where you have pets online and you play games within the game and earn coins and then you buy your pet stuff and feed it and whatever. But there's a whole little world for it. So anyway, but now there's games like this where without even the pet's premise, but where you can go online and you can spend real money, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever. And you can buy real stuff that's non-fungible tokens, NFTs, in the game and with real money and own it in the game. You can buy a digital house in the game. So it's your house and it can't be copied because it's a non-fungible, it's an NFT.
But this is SimCity.
So, yeah. But online, and you can spend your real money on it. And people do. So, and one of the things they spend money on in it is the clothes to dress up their digital avatar in. So this is a story from Reuters.
Well, hold on. Can I have a question before? Can you, inhabit with VR this world and walk into it? And
I don't know if this particular one, if you can or not.
So there's no sensation. This is not.
No,
this is no holodeck. This is you looking at a screen.
Yes. This is you and your sim on the computer. When Virtual World Decentraland said in June users could make and sell their own clothing for avatars to wear on the site, Hiroto Kai stayed up all night designing Japanese-inspired garments. Selling kimonos for around $140
Say kimono,
each.
Alice. Say kimono.
Kimonos.
Kimono.
For $140 each, he said he made $15,000 to $20,000 in just 3 weeks.
Who is...
Well, the idea of spending real money
I
on...
buy a Hydrox brand cookies instead of Oreos because we're trying to not spend money. And these guys are...
spending $140 for their sim to
pixels.
wear online. Yes. But it's your pixels. You own it because it's an NFT.
Which also is not a thing. That's fine.
Well, the idea of spending real money on clothing that does not physically exist is baffling to many.
Yeah, how did that be?
Virtual possessions generate real sales in the metaverse, online environments where people can congregate, walk around, meet friends, and play games. Digital artists...
How do they walk around?
Just their little sim walks around the
see.
world on the computer.
They have to be, and I'm sorry to go back to this.
Digital artist and Japan enthusiast Kai's real name is Noah. He's a 23-year-old living in New Hampshire. After making as much in those 3 weeks as he'd earn in a year at his music store job, he quit to become a full-time designer. It just took off, Kai said. It was a new way to express yourself, and it's walking art. That's what's so cool about it. When you have a piece of clothing, you can go to a party in it, you can dance in it, you can show off, and it's a status symbol.
Without ever having to leave the couch.
Right. In Decentraland, clothing for avatars known as wearables can be bought and sold on the blockchain in a form of crypto asset called an NFT.
What is a blockchain?
Blockchain is essentially, it's like an unchangeable chain of custody for something.
Okay.
Kai's kimonos include exquisite crushed blue velvet pieces with golden dragon trim. NFTs exploded in popularity earlier this year.
There is no such thing as velvet in... No, Kai's lying. Everybody involved in this is lying.
But they're not to them. NFTs exploded in popularity earlier this year as speculators and crypto enthusiasts flocked to buy the new type of asset, which represents ownership of online-only items. Online-only is a new way to say fake, such as digital art, trading cards, and land in online worlds. The niche crypto assets are also capturing the attention of some of the world's biggest fashion companies, keen to associate themselves with a new generation of gamers, though most of their forays are so far for marketing. Louis Vuitton launched a metaverse game where players can collect NFTs, and Burberry has created branded NFT accessories for Blanco's
Cyril,
Block Party, a game owned by Mythical Games. Gucci has
He just
sold...
said, I have corn. He's holding a piece of corn. I'll tweet that out. Go ahead, Alice.
Gucci has sold clothing for avatars within the game Roblox. Your avatar
our kids play that. They're good.
represents you, says Imani McEwen, a Miami-based fashion model and NFT enthusiast. Basically, what you're wearing is what makes you who you are. McEwen reckons he spends $15,000 to $16,000 on 70 NFT wearables since January, using profit from cryptocurrency investments. His first purchase was a Bitcoin-themed sweater, and he recently bought a black beret designed by his friend. The overall size of NFT wearables market is difficult to establish. In Decentraland alone, wearable sales volume totaled $750,000 in the first half of 2021, up from $267,000 in the same period last year. Some proponents say wearables and shopping in virtual shops could be the future of retail. Instead of scrolling through a feed and shopping online, you can have a more immersive brand experience by exploring a virtual space. Says Julia Schwartz, director of Republic Realm, a $10 million virtual real estate investment vehicle, which has bought a shopping mall in Decentraland. This is a real news story from Reuters. So, for NFT enthusiasts, online
None of these
fashion...
people have left the couch, Alice.
I know.
So Reuters can't pretend they're on the ground in...
They own a mall in Decentraland.
In Plectronville... Zyderland. It doesn't exist. None of it exists.
Paula Sello and Alyssa Albakova, co-founders of digital fashion startup Ouroboros, said it could be an environmentally friendly alternative to fast fashion.
That's a great point. I'm sure it is.
Customers.
You know what, Alice? I'm gonna invent. For that land that they live in, carbon monoxide. I want to pollute it.
We need a shift now in fashion. The industry simply cannot continue, said Sello. Virtual sneaker company RTFKT sells limited edition NFTs representing sneakers, which can be worn in some virtual worlds or on social media in a Snapchat filter. It really took off when COVID started and lots of people went more online, said Steven Vasilev, the company's CEO. The company posted $7 million in sales with limited edition sneakers selling in auctions for $10,000 to $60,000, he said.
This planet needs to be destroyed by a space alien.
But what they're saying is you can wear those ones on Snapchat. So you can post a selfie on your social media that you take in your digital art. You can buy clothing. So, I mean, like this, if all the sex goes online, why not all the clothing too, honey?
Incredible.
Why not all the real estate? Why not all of it?
All the dystopian movies are coming true.
We can just live purely online.
I think you should have to have your real body type online.
Well, that's another interesting implication of that is that it reinforces this whole thing where like you can be anybody that you want, like the trans stuff and whatever else, or like the people who think they're bunnies or whatever, is like you can literally like make your digital avatar look like whatever you want. And if you're living your whole life on there, like you never have to actually engage with the reality of what you really look like when you could just not have any mirrors in your house and you'd never know. Like as far as you're concerned, you're living in a gorgeous digital house with somebody of the opposite sex, and you have very cool clothing and you shop at the digital mall, and I don't know.
Wouldn't all your... But then when you get up eventually and have like a lobster roll and a Mountain Dew, do you notice that there's a difference? That your palate and that the actual pleasure is different than pixels?
Well, I think so. I mean, I think that about our sexual experiences, that they're better.
You?
I mean, I think
ours? Are you talking about our sex life?
I think that our real life sexual encounters are better than watching something online.
You mean the Shattocks?
Yes.
Wow, Alice, you work blue.
I think they're better than watching something online. Is that wrong to say?
Well, I mean, you have me, so you know.
But I mean, I think that there's a real.
You mean Holly, right?
I think that there's a real loss. I mean, and I wouldn't even have thought to say this because I would have thought it would be uncontroversial like a year ago, to say that living your entire life online through the computer screen is not the same as living a real life out in the physical world. But, apparently there are people who feel differently. So I'm just going to put it out there on that right now that's where I stand.
I'm going to sell NFTs.
Well, go on Decentraland and start designing limited edition sneakers.
I just took a picture of your son who just came in here with a raw corn of cob
ear
of corn,
yes.
And said, "I have corn," and held it up.
The things that happen when we're on the computer. But see, would that happen in Decentraland?
I don't know.
I mean, right now
he has joy from having an ear of corn. He's somewhat eating it, somewhat using it as a weapon. And he likes tangible things at this moment. But it's in 10 years from now, he may live only online, paying $6,000 to have fake ears of corn.
It's an interesting time we live in.
Yeah, it is. This world is over. It's fine. No, I just wish I didn't go through it poor, but that's fine.
Well, start selling NFTs, honey.
Okay. Let's go from that crazy unreality fantasy land to the Loudoun County School District, where those psychos who run the thing are not only into all sorts of CRT madness, craziness, but all the trans pronoun-y stuff, and they've gone full whack job.
So they just passed a new policy that everyone must use anyone's preferred pronouns, and be allowed to be in the sport and the bathroom and whatever that they identify with and all the things, and everybody has to go along with it or they're a bigot. So that's the new school policy. So they've had one teacher quit live in their school board meeting earlier this week, and then this is also the
we played that, didn't we?
I don't think we played it on this show. I think you played it on your Connecticut show.
Really?
I think so. I don't know if we played it here. I certainly have seen it, and probably most of our listeners have seen it. That's a couple days old, but but yeah, so this one teacher quit live because she said she wasn't going to do it, that these policies are harming children and she's not going to be a part of it. She's a 5th grade teacher in the Loudoun County School District. There was also a phys ed teacher who was suspended earlier this year because he said he wasn't going to do the policy, that, it's not true,
right,
and he's not going to lie, and they suspended him. So that's currently, that'll probably be lawyers fighting back and forth for a while on that one. But I can't imagine that these people don't have religious discrimination cases.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Because, you're absolutely asking people to publicly denounce their sincerely held religious beliefs.
Yes, these tyrants. What the frig is Loudoun County? Are these all people who work in the Beltway in D.C.?
I don't know. I don't know exactly what.
But
if you're out there listening and you have input on the culture of Loudoun County, please let us know, because we're not familiar with the area.
It is. It's so. I tell you, it's gross. Like I've said this before. There's something voyeuristic. Yeah, we want to do this. We want to see you do. We want to see the kid. Like it's like watching a child eat a grape or something, getting really into it. It's sick. These people are perverted, man. They're whack jobs. This is the teacher Laura Morris, who's had enough of dealing with this place, and she quit right there in front of them.
Even to be spoken in my personal life, going so far as to send a form to my colleagues and I, encouraging us to fill it out if we hear one another speaking against the controversial policies being promoted by this school board and adopted in this county. Not only that, but within the last year, I was told in one of my so-called equity trainings that white, Christian, able-bodied females currently have the power in our schools, and that, quote, this has to change. Clearly, you've made your point. You no longer value me or many other teachers you've employed in this county. So since my contract outlines the power that you have over my employment in Loudoun County Public Schools, I thought it necessary to resign in front of you. School board, I quit. I quit your policies, I quit your trainings, and I quit being a cog in a machine that tells me to push highly politicized agendas on our most vulnerable constituents, the children. I will find employment elsewhere. I encourage all parents and staff in this county to flood the private schools.
There we go. That's Laura Morris. Her time is up. More recently, this guy a guy from Iran who's an American, came there and gave them a piece of his mind.
Dear disgraced board members, you think you're woke? Well, let me wait to a little bit more. I'm a Chaldean married to an Armenian. We are minorities of the minorities in this country. Our ancestors and people survived massacres of the Turks and the ISIS. I grew up in Iran as a Christian, and when we went to school, as much as the government wanted to indoctrinate us, the teachers didn't allow it. The teachers did their job, teach us the curriculum, science, math, biology, etc. They didn't try to shove propaganda down our throats like the Ayatollahs did. Now in the 21st century, we have social justice warrior so-called teachers are trying to shove their garbage ideology down our kids' throat. These are our children, not yours. Their job is not to raise my child or my neighbor's child. Their job is to teach our kids math, science, biology, literature, and that's it. Not ideology. Now you want to push garbage crap like pronouns? How the hell does that keep a kid from succeeding? How does that help them? Does that teach them how to add? You want to push that garbage down my kid's throat? I will make you call my kids king and queen.
Yeah.
That's how I will address my sons and my daughter. And you look at me, you call me master. You want that pronoun to be in your mouth when you look at me?
I like him.
Yeah.
I like that fellow. I am all for
Why
him.
not? If we're playing the game where anybody gets to be called whatever they want, why not?
Absolutely. Over in other tales of Marxism, A.G. Eric Schmidt of Missouri was asked by the press if we should use carrots and sticks, mostly sticks, to get people vaccinated.
What would you say if somebody says it's a very sane thing to do, that we need to use the pressure of someone's fear of losing their job, force them to get vaccinated for the good of the community?
Yeah, if someone says that using fear is good, that is what every tyrant in the history of the world and every dictator in the history of the world has ever said, to accumulate, aggregate, and maintain power. This is America, the freest country in the history of the world, and I don't think that we should be allowing individual politicians who want to grab power and never let go of it, gain it in the first place. People can make their decisions. I believe in freedom. I believe in responsibility. But people can make these very important decisions themselves. And I don't want to live in some futuristic, dystopian, biomedical security state. And I'm going to do everything I can as Attorney General to protect the rights of individuals in the state.
Here. Sounds just like DeSantis. Need more people like that. Talked to a guy today.
Just wait, biomedical security state is going to be hate speech that's not allowed on social media platforms in about 48 hours.
Oh, totally. Yeah, talked to a guy today whose wife was just fired or has to leave in 2 weeks because she did not get the vaccine. And everybody else in the office they've got their own offices, everybody else in the office is vaccinated. But, unfortunately, Alice, we talk about the fake community with the fake stuff that you buy. It's like people are. How much can we make fun of those people who are, selling pretend clothes to pretend customers online, when a good deal of the population of the Earth has mentally checked out and can't let go now?
Right.
We can't let go. It doesn't even matter now.
I mean, you can't get COVID in Decentraland, so maybe they should go live in there.
Absolutely, please go live in there. That would be excellent. I'm so sick of these idiots wanting to get back to talking about masks and all this absolute horse bleep. Enough.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. The mask thing is ridiculous. If you still at this point don't have evidence to show that masks do anything, and they don't. There's the big study that they trotted out to show how masks work wasn't comparing to any unmasked places. It just took a bunch of masked students and was like, see, COVID didn't spread, therefore masks work. And in the meantime, there's studies from European countries that show with unmasked kids, because in Europe, they're not morons somehow and haven't put masks on all kids like under 12. And they also don't have significant spread in schools any more than in the general community or whatever. So the whole thing just makes no sense. Kids are not a significant source of spread. If you're a teacher and you're worried about it, then get vaccinated. And if you're not, then don't. And then everybody can just go back to normal. That's the way it ought to be. But for some reason, we're behaving like insane children that can't handle seeing an unmasked face. And the American Academy of Pediatrics is pretending like this has no detrimental effects on childhood development, even though we know that's not true. They had a tweet thread today in which they said that it's fine that younger children won't see human faces and it won't harm their language development because they'll just pick up on gestures and other things. Well, that's fine. That's very normal and good, I think. I mean, yes, kids of like deaf parents learn sign language words instead of spoken words because that's what they learn, but I don't think anybody's ever suggested that it's a good idea for essentially all human children to not see another human face for like 40 hours a week of their entire existence while they're in daycare. It seems like that it's obvious that it would be bad, but there's no evidence that would be bad for development. Well, yeah, because no one's ever studied it, because no one ever suggested that anyone would do such an insane thing to kids. It wouldn't even be ethical to study it because it's so insane. But whatever, I can't.
I told you that when we were, I told you guys this too, that when I was coaching softball, that when the masks finally came off, I couldn't recognize any of the girls anymore. I could recognize them by height after that, because suddenly there were so many characteristics there where I was previously just the eyes and a mask. It was crazy just to think just how much. What does that do to a kid? For me, that was just like kind of like, wow, isn't that odd? That now I see, since I'm dealing with 18 facial features rather than just 2 really, that I can't recognize anymore. There's too much stuff. What is a 3-year-old doing especially when his mom is scared to death and the families are crazy and scared to death?
Well, yeah, and I can't speak for anyone else's religion, obviously, but for me personally, anyway, this is also a theological point. The human person is made in the image of God, and that's primarily seen through our face. I mean, when we talk about Moses, we talk about the prophet who spoke with God face to face. That's scriptural, and that's Old Testament, so that's the Hebrew Bible also. The human face is, I mean, at least in my theological tradition, considered to be the image of God. You'll go to our churches and they're full of icons. They're full of human faces because that's the reflection of God on earth, that we're meant to see the face of God in the faces of our fellow people. And it's really, if I were a conspiracy-minded person, I would definitely think there was something to the fact that the government wants everybody's real faces covered up and is shoving more and more of our human interactions into online fake world interactions, because I think it's like really destructive to your humanity as a person.
Yeah, and you know what's also destructive, and I'll just play a little bit of this, is forcing a kid trying to get on a Ryanair flight to get a COVID test with a cotton swab, with a swab down his nose, and the kid's on the autism spectrum.
A child with ADHD and autism refused Ryanair flight, even with GP letter stating.
Kid is in an absolute panic. And I'm not a fan of Dad either, by the way, with the camera.
Yeah.
Like we're celebrating. What are you doing?
If it were me, I'd be like, sorry, we've moved to this country now, I guess, then, if we can't get on the flight home. Like,
yeah. Like, the kid's in a panic. Mm-hmm. You're freaking torturing him, you sick bastards. What a bunch of sick bastards.
It's so screwed up.
We have to do it. It's for your own good. No. It's not for your own good. God, what a bunch of sickos. Alice, anything else before we go to softball?
I think that covers a lot of it. The Biden administration, of course, is having all sorts of problems. Biden can't remember people's names. He can't remember that we're supposed to be stopping with fossil fuels. Now we're begging OPEC to drill more fossil
these are
fuels.
This administration is incompetent.
Afghanistan is falling into pieces. It's being totally taken over by the Taliban.
We're begging
going
them
to evacuate our embassy soon,
right,
probably.
And now we're sending troops back in. I don't know if you just saw that. It's new.
Did we? Okay.
Now we're sending troops back. So now we've got a deployment again. You know, I'll tell you one thing. We needed presence in Afghanistan, but the deployment is just to go back in and take the embassy out. So once they slaughter all the women and children and anybody who is helping Americans or anybody they feel like, because the Taliban are fascist Nazis. They're the worst. They're monsters. I hope that we feel proud that we abandoned some more people who we gave hope to for a little bit of time. I think it absolutely sucks. It sucks.
Well, and actually the Taliban is in a much better position now, too, because we've built out so much infrastructure in the country, roads and power lines and all types of I mean, we've spent tons of American dollars building that country into something. And, I mean, this was like, and as you know, we've had this argument on the show before. I'm not in favor of us being in Afghanistan forever, but there's a way, and this was like the worst of all possible worlds, because now it's like we've just given them all the infrastructure we built for them, and they took over the country.
They've got bases, they've got
in
airports.
like a couple weeks, and the government's about to fall, and the embassy's about to fall. I mean, it's a mess. So maybe if we're going back in, we'll prop things up again for a little while. But I mean, like, it's been how long has it been since we officially we're done? And then now there's only one provincial capital left, I think, that's still not under Taliban control, and the Taliban is reaching out to foreign governments and is like, we're going to start normalizing relations now because now this is our country.
Yeah. No, this is, I just don't want to hear, I don't want to be lectured to by good progressives or conservatives about the refugees who are coming from there, or about the people who are dead, who are going to be massacred.
Does this qualify as root causes that we should address?
Yeah, it's a great...
that are gonna come to haunt us, because I mean, that's another whole thing that they're screwing up right now too, is that I mean, we have more kids than ever
on the border, right? And also there's still a protest / revolution in Cuba, which his administration wants to spend no time talking about, except for reprimanding Cubans about coming by boat. Don't come here by boat. Yeah, this is really a touchy-feely, a good, empathetic administration. I don't want to leave in that low note. I'll say something positive.
I bought you a pair of NFT sneakers, honey.
Did you really?
No, I didn't really.
That would be cool. I could be a baller.
But maybe our yard in Decentraland would be easier to maintain. Because
is this an entree into you working hard on the lawn?
This is an entree
okay,
because I have something to air out with our listeners here, because I have to just check and make sure I'm not like crazy or OCD or something. But so you worked very hard the other day pulling up a bunch of weeds around the edges of the lawn, which was great, hard work, and you toiled out there and you pulled up a ton of weeds. But then, and here's what I want to run by our listeners. You took all these weeds, which were like 5 feet tall and all had like flowered and had seeds on them and everything that were growing up along the fences and the chicken coop and stuff. And you threw them out into the middle of the lawn and said I should just mow over them.
Right. I threw them over the fence into the lawn. So those were from outside the fence.
Oh, okay.
Right. I threw them over the fence to get rid of them. And I figured it'll dry out in the sun, and you can just incinerate them with the riding lawnmower.
Yeah, but the problem is they're all full of seeds.
Yeah, who cares?
That then are all on the lawn. Well, you just worked so hard, and
the grass.
I don't want there to now be 100 new weeds for every weed that you pulled up growing out in the middle of our lawn, because I'm pretty sure that.
Well, that's the lazy way. That's what I would do. The lazy way to do it. You can also
burn barrel
them
if
we get in good weather.
I have a feeling that that's going to create more work down the line, and I don't think that most people try and plant a bunch of new weeds in their lawn every time that they do it, and that's why other people don't have
weed in our lawn called grass.
Yeah, but I just feel that the people that don't have a weed forest growing in their lawn probably have that because they didn't throw a bunch of weeds in it and then mow them into the lawn and till them into the soil there so that they would sprout up there.
That's not going to happen because you're going to be cutting the lawn every week.
So I took all your weeds today.
You did?
And I stuffed them all. I filled 4 contractor bags with your weeds, and I brought them over and put them by the burn barrel.
Is this during the many hours I was toiling on the air to bring money into the household, or the other?
So now
other hours right after that where I jumped on to do my Substack?
Now I can mow the lawn
to make people happy and change
now
the world.
I can mow the lawn without planting a bunch of new weeds.
This is what you guys get. See, ladies and guys, you know this. We kill ourselves out on the lawn all year and not a bit of applause. A wife goes out there and she's got to have a celebration duck boat parade and let you know everything that happens.
I'm just asking for other people's feedback about what they do with their weeds. If throwing them in the lawn is a good idea, or if my suspicion is correct that that's not the way to handle weeds. Because I think that sometimes, your approach to things.
Wow, what a I'm kidding.
I think sometimes you choose a way to do things that seems easier at the time but creates more work for you down the road.
This misandry is one of the reasons why I'm asking any of you ladies, if you're on OnlyFans and you'd like to connect, I would like to begin a new relationship with somebody who's not constantly abusive and vicious to me.
Thank you so much, everybody. Give me the feedback about the weeds. You can reach us on Twitter at BurnBarrelPod, at Tom Shattuck, at Alice Shattuck.
You can emasculate the show. Give me the feedback in the weeds.
Okay, honey.
It's only because you worked blue that the guys are going to be sticking around for this.
Well, let them. They probably mow their own lawns.
What the frig was that? Oh. Jerk. Beating I take.
Also, Facebook.com/BurnBarrelPodcast. Also, BurnBarrelPodcast.com. BurnBarrelPodcast on Gab and Parler. Tom Shattuck's Burn Barrel on YouTube. And also BurnBarrelPodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe to things, leave reviews, all stuff like that.
C'est la vie.